welcome to today's webinar. So, are you ready to unlock the secrets of productive and pain-free work life? So, welcome to today's webinar on WorkWell, Mastering Ergonomics for a Productive View, an enlightening session featuring the expertise of Dr. Kruti Kimani. So, Dr. Kruti, the principal physiotherapist at Quantum, brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. She holds a bachelor degree in physiotherapist from the Pune and a master degree in sport physiotherapy from the University of Sydney, Australia. So, with her impressive professional journey as a founder of Pinach Physiotherapy and a core group, managing consultant physiotherapist at Connect Rehabilitation, senior physiotherapist at Take Control Active Rehab and Therapy Service, physiotherapist at Nanavati Hospital, and a team physiotherapist for Air India national football team, for under 18 football academy as well. So Dr. Kimani has become a trusted expert in her field. So in this captivating session, Dr. Kruti will empower you with the practical knowledge and strategies to master ergonomics and create a workspace that promotes productivity and well-being. So get ready to discover how simple adjustment can make a significant impact on your work, performance, and overall health. So let's join and give us a warm welcome to Dr. Kruti as she starts sharing her insights for today's webinar.
Thanks, Ekta. I'll just wait for Amit to put that PowerPoint up. Thanks, everyone, for joining on a Friday afternoon. I guess, it has given me a good introduction. And for those of you who've been to a physiotherapist, you would know what we do. We're extremely, extremely boring people because we ask you to do exercises. Unfortunately, that's the only tool we have to fix you and to fix your aches and pains. But I can guarantee you there's no side effects to these prescriptions. So I think we're better off following them rather than taking those painkillers that unfortunately have side effects. Next slide, please. So we're talking on ergonomics, and I'm sure we've all Googled this word at least once in our life. And I just wanted to really talk quickly about what is it, right? So it's really our own body interaction with our environment. Now, it doesn't mean ergonomics is only applied to people who work in an office. As a physio and as a physio, when I worked in Australia, we did ergonomics setups for even forklift drivers and truck drivers and people that were working in a factory. So ergonomics really is to match and marry you and your body to your environment. It's as simple as that. All right. So if anything's mismatched, like in a marriage, if anything's mismatched, it doesn't work. So what do we do then, right? What happens if there is an imbalance or a mismatch or a deficit? If your work environment demands X, but you do not have X and you have minus X, then that's where a deficit is. What does that do? It increases your risk of fatigue, injury, and discomfort. It wears out your body over a period of time. And honestly, repetitive stress injuries don't show up overnight. Okay. They will show up after months and years of repetitive strain on them. So the wear and tear will only show up as pain being the last sign that your body's saying, please do something about this. Reduce productivity because of obviously symptomatic issues. And of course, an impact on your home and emotional status. Next slide, please. So why, these were the obvious reasons why the ergonomics is so important. And how do they occur? Again, this is not a science lecture, so I'm not going to go into much detail, but really it's very simple. If your body is going to demand a certain amount of muscle power to do your mouse work or your typing work or your lifting and pulling of files or your writing and signing, if your body demands the power to do that repetitively, the body can do it up to a certain amount of time, after which muscles get tired. All right. So whether we are sitting in the wrong posture, whether we are sitting in the right posture, but we're sitting for too long, that also is a problem. So muscle fatigue and static loading is what we call it in our language. And of course, the poor posture. A total of all of this really is what's going to load up the body structures like your muscles, your joints, your ligaments, or your tendons. Of course, if there is inappropriate movement, which is done repetitively, like lifting your files or lifting your handbag or sitting in a chair that's not right for you, that will obviously lead to that prolonged excessive load on the body. And of course, the first sign the body will give you is tiredness or fatigue. The next sign it will give you is reduced power. And the last and third sign it will give you is pain. Next slide, please. Again, without saying it's an anatomy lecture, I am teaching you, but it's important for you to know, right? So there is obviously the spine that is the most important part of the body, and that's the one that's keeping us upright. So we need to know which parts of the spine can give you potentially aches and pains. So of course, the vertebrae and the joints of the vertebrae, as you can see on the picture, and the disc which is in between the two bodies of the vertebrae, and these are discs that are there at every single level. So we have 6 levels in our neck. We have 8 to 9 levels in our mid back. We have 6 levels in our lower back. So you can imagine every single level has a disc. So one disc, causing an issue will lead to the second and to the third. So it's a snowball effect. Next slide, please. So just so we know, even if you don't have an injury, even if you've never fallen, even if you've never had a car accident, we unfortunately are living beings. So we have a tendency to what is called as degenerate. Okay. Sadly, we do. So if you can watch that top picture there, just to give you a perspective, at different ages, this is what our discs are going to do. Whether you're extremely careful, I've seen such discs even in athletes, even in gym junkies, and even in people who have completely led sedentary lives. So sadly, when you get disc bulges and you see a disc bulge in your MRI, don't blame yourself. It's not only just your fault. Especially you're lucky if you're in the age group of 50 to 60, because then you can blame age. But really speaking, we can't stop this process. We can certainly slow it down drastically by doing preventative measures about what I'm going to talk today. Next slide, please. So, posture is something that we hear all the time, right? You must have all heard about posture. It's honestly a very overrated word, to be honest. If you ask me as a physio, posture is not the cause of your pain. Posture is a byproduct of your muscle power. So, really, why does poor posture happen? Of course, it's one habit, but also it happens because of excessive weight, weak muscles. You know, if you're not aware of what is it that's going to lead me to bad posture, and of course, habitual postures, like a lot of people don't remember to not look at the phone, putting their head down all the time. A lot of people forget when they're going back home, they just want to watch half an hour of TV, but then they're sitting with two pillows and their chin touching their chest. And that's just crunching their neck so much. So it's just learned habits. Muscle imbalance is a big factor. What people don't realize is what's keeping their shoulders behind. Muscles at the back of the body. So if your muscles aren't strong, how much ever you try, you're not going to be able to sit upright. You're going to eventually start getting tired and slouch. So, like I said, posture is a byproduct of your muscles. Stress impacts the posture a lot, and of course, visual problems. So if you have, you don't know you have a number in your eye and you need glasses and you keep constantly squinting and poking your chin towards your monitor, that's going to cause bad posture as well. Just to give you a perspective, standing puts 100% pressure on your disc. If you look at that study on your right, which I've got from a research paper, lying down puts just 24% pressure on your disc. Sitting upright without back support still puts 140% pressure on your disc. And seated slouched puts 190% pressure on your disc. So if you don't want to believe the doctor or your wife and husband or me, just look at those numbers. And unfortunately, that should scare you. All right. 190% pressure on the disc when you're sitting slumped forward. Next slide, please. So what does the muscle loading, constant muscle loading really do? Again, don't worry about the slide. Just think of it. If there is a muscle that's tight, there's a lot of pressure that's put on the blood vessels. That's going to reduce the blood flow to the area and the oxygen to the muscles. That's going to cause muscle heaviness, stiffness, tightness, and eventually pain. And when pain comes, that's your body's warning signal that, listen, if you now don't fix this posture and issue, you're going to get an injury. And eventually it does happen. All right. So think of it as a snowball effect. listen to your body, and if it's giving you some sign of something wrong somewhere, go get your healthcare professional's opinion. Next slide, please. Really, pause breaks or breaks from sitting are what are the key factors when people come to us with aches and pains. So we don't want to constantly keep telling you, don't sit in a bad posture or use a posture pillow. Really? Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So the idea is really to take frequent breaks. When people tell us and come to us and say, "Can you please fix my posture?" The first tip I give them is pause breaks. So frequent change in position. If you've been sitting for half an hour, stand up. If you've been walking and talking on the phone for half an hour, sit back down. If you're lying down and reading or talking on the phone, get up and sit on the chair. And if you've been sitting on your sofa slouched for 30 minutes, it's all right up to 30 minutes. After that, get up and sit on your study table. So frequent changes in posture are really, really, really important. One of the things people forget also is eye exercises. So they're really essential, especially for working, all of us are working on computers. So stop, look long, so look further away from you. Look short, so maybe look at your nails, so really close to you. And every 30 minutes, just shut your eye really tight, open it 5 times. That's enough exercise for the eye to get what it really needs, is that required break. Next slide, please. Some stretches, which I'm happy to share with you guys on email later as well. You can print out and put on your desk. Really, it's again, not without going into too much detail of each stretch. What you see here is movement, pure, good quality movement of every single digit of our body. So the forearm stretch or the flexor stretch really is you're stretching your shoulders. Your forearm extensor stretch. You're stretching your arm, your shoulder rotation, which is you're doing rolling that shoulder forward and backward, and your shoulder stretch, which is the back of your shoulder. So I'm sure you've seen these before. I'm sure you've done them as well. Just a reminder. The next slide is similar as well, please. Again, the neck stretch, right? The posture stretch, which is hands on your back and leaning forward. The chin tuck, right? And the eyes, which is you just circle your eyes sitting there, and the handshake. So again, I can send these all to you. They're very, very simple and self-explanatory. Next one. The idea is reminders, frequent reminders. Now, recap is because, if we were doing these webinar in person, I would have shown you on a chair, but I'm going to still go through these individually. So let's start. When you're doing ergonomic assessment with us or you're doing a setup, we're looking at a few things like your chair, your desk, your monitor, your keyboard placement, right? So what do we look for when you're sitting on your chair? Of course, it's a 5-star base, so it's a good, strong, solid, broad base. The height is a 90-degree rule. Now, 90-degree rule means if I'm looking at you from the side, I want your back and the top of your thigh to be at 90 degrees. So when you're sitting on your chair, whether it's in the office or at home, ask somebody to look at you from the side view, right? On the side view, they should see your back and your thigh to be approximately 90 degrees. Anything less than that, that means your chair is really low. Anything more than that means your chair is really high. So try and adjust that chair to bring this angle to 90, which is the angle between the spine and your thigh. What we're looking also at is the seat base. Now, sometimes the depth of your chair isn't enough, all right, which means the full thigh is not supported. So what you want is approximately 3-finger distance between the back of your leg and your edge of your chair. So if you guys are sitting on your chair right now, you can try and do this. Put your 3 fingers at the back of at the edge of your chair and see if there's that much gap between the edge of your chair and the back of your calf, your leg, your lower leg. If it's more than 3, means the depth is not enough for you. It's a smaller chair than what you need. If it's less than 3 and there's nothing like this, probably just 1 finger distance, then probably it's a bit too big for you. So approximately 3-finger distance between the edge of your chair and your calf is what we look at. Armrest, we never recommend armrest. Now, I know in India that's like a sign of you're the boss. I have armrest on my chair, I'm the boss. But unfortunately, ergonomic studies say that if you have an armrest, then if you're sitting close to your desk, if your armrest is not allowing you to come close enough to your desk, then you're going to reach further away to type. That means that your shoulders are going to get tired extremely fast. So try and not use an armrest. Also, that's one of the ways we used to make sure people get up often. Because when you have an armrest, you'll end up not getting up often because it becomes really comfortable and cozy. So armrests really ergonomically are not recommended. So the main things, like I said, to recap, on a chair, 90-degree at the hip and back, no armrest, making sure that the chair is nice and close to you, close to the desk, I mean. And lastly, make sure the depth of your chair and the three-finger distance between the back of your calf and the edge of the chair. I hope these few pointers help. Next slide, please. The desk. Now, again, golden rule is 720 to about 700 to 720 from the floor to the top of the desk is the ideal desk height for an average Indian male slash female. All right. Now, unfortunately, not all offices have adjustable desks. If you do, fabulous. If you don't, then to adjust to your desk, if the height is not ideal for you, the only way to adjust is to adjust your chair. And if you're really not that tall enough for the desk, and your height of your chair has to increase where your legs are dangling, then you need to put a footrest. Usually make sure that frequently used items on your desk are at arm's distance. Okay, so easy to reach where you don't have to keep reaching further away from you. Even simply put, if your arm is up in the air, trying to reach for things over and over again, that's not going to allow your traps to relax. So if your arms are rested on your desk and then you're reaching for things very quickly and close to you, your traps don't get tight. So at the end of the day, when we feel like, why is this so sore? Could be that you're constantly reaching for things that's further away from you than they should be. Could be things like the phone, the paper, doesn't matter what it is. Something that you need frequently needs to be at arm's length. Next slide, please. The computer, which is the monitor or the laptop screen. Now, again, golden rule with the screen is again arm's length. You want to make sure that the monitor is at arm's length from you, not too close, not too far. Second thing, it's at eye level. All right. Now, eye level, monitor at eye level is something which all of us have heard. But unfortunately, I still, when I go to offices, I see everybody's monitors lower than eye level, which we don't realize because we're like, well, what do we put underneath? Simply, we don't get telephone books anymore, but just put a box. Whatever you can find, get that monitor to eye level, if it's a PC, of course. Or if your office is really well equipped, they will have those arms that are adjustable that takes the monitors up and down. But as far as possible, your monitor is eye level. So the top third of your monitor is basically at your eye level. That's what we need to see. If it's a laptop, which again, 80% to 90% people are using these days, try and use a laptop stand. So laptop stands are available in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Doesn't matter. I don't care what brand you use, but make sure if your laptop is on a laptop stand, then you need to attach a separate keyboard and mouse because you can't be typing up in the air like this. So make sure that your laptop stand makes the monitor come to your eye level. It also is pushed back to arm's length, and then you've attached a separate keyboard and mouse for it. Okay, which I think a lot of us are. I mean, I'm sure out of 97 of us right now, I would say 80 of us would be on laptops. So yeah, that's more relevant to you. Keyboard, of course, positioned in the front, very close to you. So what we also forget is when you have a desk, you don't only just have to rest your arms on the desk. You need to make sure the desk and you are very close to each other. So if you can think of elbows close to your body, I'll just show you on myself. So elbows close to your body and elbows near your waist. That's where your monitor sits. Your arms don't move from here. Now pull your monitor close to you. So that's why I said if your laptop's gone on a laptop stand, how are you going to place your elbows close to your body? Not possible, right? So that's why we really need that monitor to come close to you, and hence the separate monitor. I'm sorry, keyboard close to you, hence the separate keyboard when you have a laptop stand. Same with the mouse. If you're using a mouse and not the laptop, if you're using a mouse, Make sure it's not moving away from you without realizing by the seventh hour of the day, it's gone away from you and you're constantly reaching for it. All right. Yeah, I think that's about it. Next slide, please. I think I already said this, but yeah, the issues are the screen height. So it's almost impossible for anybody to work on a laptop for more than half an hour and not get back pain. Trust me. It's not laptops were not designed for more than 30 minutes of work on it. They were designed for working remotely or carrying something along with you for external meetings. Sadly, they've become the main source of work. So now if they have, then we might as well put them up ergonomically, hence the stand and the separate keyboard and mouse. Next slide, please. So those were the main culprits in the office, right? Now, don't ask me why the samosas are there, but anyway, I'll tell you why. So usually, apart from the desk setup, the other issue within the workplace, or rather within the work environment and your work life per se, obviously the chair being the biggest culprit because we sit too long and we're not designed to sit. Humans were not designed to sit for that long. All right. And that's why my first and only tip for ergonomic wellness at the workplace is get up often, every 30 minutes, if you can. Right. So every time the phone rings, try and get up and walk around. Every time you want to go get something, even if you have an office boy, you go get it if you can. Get your printing, get your tea and coffee, get your glass of water. Try not to keep anything on your desk. The other one was the laptop again, like I mentioned to you. So we weren't designed to use laptops all day, every day. We were designed to use monitors, which became thinner and nicer in terms of the PC screens, and which then became even more compact in terms of the laptop. Sadly, they're now into converting that to phones. So we can't help it. It's getting smaller and smaller, but we have to work around it. The third culprit being traffic. How much stress does that cause in your day-to-day life? Now, I don't know where you guys are. I'm in Mumbai, and we seem to be winning an award for traffic some days. So I'm sure every city in the world is facing this, and that's one of another one of the biggest stressors for workplace wellness and barriers for workplace wellness. So there's nothing to work around traffic. We can't help it. We are an organization, but if there is traffic, again, if you're driving, try and pick a time to drive where you can face the least traffic so you're not sitting for longer than an hour. I know it's harder, easier said than done. That's the only way you can do. Because I have people traveling 2 hours a day in the morning, 2 hours a day in the evening. That's 4 hours of sitting, plus another 8 hours of sitting at the office. Sitting is the main culprit, like I mentioned before. So if you can cut those 4 hours down to two, that's even, some small win there. Mental stress, of course, is the biggest trigger for workplace wellness and aches and pains as well. So we all know the body and mind are so closely connected, right? So if there is going to be stress, it has been proven by research that any emotional and mental stress is going to trigger your symptoms 3 times more. So if you have existing back pain, it's going to trigger your pain a lot more when you're stressed versus when you're relaxed. I'm sure how many of you noticed that, oh, when we were on holiday, my pain had just gone away. I don't know, it was magical. And when I'm back to office and now the pain's come back. The issue is not the office. The issue is not your chair. The issue is the stress. All right. So the only way out is not to not take stress, but to learn stress management. And I'm sure you've had some expert talking on it as well. The samosas were the workplace eating habits. Now, that was just an example, but really, eating habits is something that we all know what we're supposed to eat. We all know we're supposed to eat on time, but we don't land up doing that. So, what I tell people is there is no one size fits all. All right. If your nutritionist tells you you need to eat every 2 hours, does not mean the other guy's lifestyle also needs that. So try and get your own customized little eating habit from a good nutritionist or a dietitian if you need one. Because again, like I said, there's no one size fits all. So I know people do intermittent fasting, works for them, doesn't work for me. I know people who do, eat every 2 hours, put something in your mouth. The dietitian's given them a plan and follow that. Great, works for some, doesn't work for others. So try and get your own little wellness package from a nutrition perspective. Cost of living in a city like ours or like Mumbai or any big city, tier one city, tier two cities even now, is another big stressor for workplace wellness. So any kind of mental stress that leads to that kind of aches and pains is going to trigger them again. The inability to know, you're unsure, you're puzzled, you're confused as to what should I do for my symptom. It's very simple. We get a lot of patients day in and day out that have gone to 5, 10 different orthopedicians or physios asking for a solution to their chronic back pain. That's now, who doesn't get back pain? I get it too, right? But the problem is the medical system sometimes tends to make you go around in circles. Just because your MRI said you have a slip disc does not mean your back pain is there for 20 years because of that slip disc. Your slip disc happened, caused inflammation and swelling, made you do bed rest, and then it became dormant. It sits quietly. What it leaves behind is weakness in muscles. If you don't target that, that's when it becomes a 20-year-old long back pain. It does not necessarily have to be 20 years old, all right? But because your slip disc happened and you did not get the right guidance as to how to manage it with life, that's when it became chronic. So that confusion happens when you don't go to the right healthcare professionals. The how are you to know? It's not your fault, right? So very simply put, how would I choose a healthcare professional in any aches and pains? Say I'll talk about my industry. So anybody, I was in Australia for 12 years and the system there is very simple. You have pain, you go to a physio first because an orthopedician was designed to give you medicines and to do surgery if you need it. But diagnosis is something that a physio should and can do. All right. And find the right person, Google them, look their profile up, ask people around. Have you been to them? What are the reviews? We are in the world of social media. It's brilliant. You get testimonials all the time and you get asked, how is this person as a physio? Check their profile, check their reviews, and then go see them. One session that does no harm anyway. You'll know the first session that this person knows what they're talking about. So the confusion behind how to manage aches and pains is there, and that is something maybe you need guidance with. And lastly, nobody to really address your concerns sometimes at workplace can be a big stressor as well. So the brain, the heart, and the ear, basically somebody to have a heart-to-heart conversation with, somebody to really understand where you're coming from, or somebody just to hear you out. That's all sometimes we need so that these aches and pains don't keep coming. So I just wanted to list these as well, along with the chair, table, mouse, and keyboard, because I didn't want you to think it's just those things that cause aches and pain. Next slide, please. A holistic approach really involves working with therapists first. So your physio, psychologists, nutritionists, personal trainers as a team. There is never one person or one guru that can fix aches and pains. I've always said this. I'm not the only one. I'm going to need an army of people to help people get rid of chronic issues, right? The other thing that helps is obviously workstation ergonomics setup. So based on the few tips I've sent or I've spoken about, try those out. If they work and your pains are less, brilliant. If they don't work, go seek some help. And lastly, it's work conditioning, which is, a work related exercise program really involves a physio working with you to strengthen muscles that you need for your workplace. So it's a customized approach. Again, no one size fits all. All right. And the minute you get stronger in those areas of work, your productivity just, shoots up. Next slide, please. Oh, great. That was quick. So I'm more than happy with questions, and I think there are a few in the chat. Oh, okay. No, that's fine. So anyone happy with questions, Ekta?
If anyone has any questions or if you want to directly speak with Dr. Kruti, you can just raise your hand and I will move to panelist and you may ask your query as well. And if you want to just put it in a chat box as well, you can also get this details as well.
These two hands are raised. I don't know who that is.
I'm just moving them to the panelist. Kindly accept the invitation so that you can join as a panelist and you can unmute yourself and you can talk to Dr. Kruti.
And so there's a slide further, which I'll hand over to Amit to explain as well later.
Yeah, yeah. So we have Umapati Shastri. So you can unmute yourself and you can answer question to Dr. Kruti.
Okay. So, hi, Kruti.
Hi, Umapati, how are you?
Good, good. See, I saw this all the technical details, what you are talking about, the good practice, all those fine. So, see, there is a some. I was asking for the some kind of the crash course. Crash course means I know I have to, you know, get up every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, take a breath, take a long walk, stretch your spot. Some of the one which is not practically possible, right? So you are in the mid of this call. I mean, if I'm in this call, right? Last 40 minutes, I'm sitting in this, right? So I cannot work out, right? In there. So in these kind of things, whenever we're going to have the alertness, I mean, as a standard practice, you people have the some kind of the app, or you can have the some kind of the alarm mechanism where we can ourselves can tune it. See, I cannot set my mobile as after 30 minutes just the beep, right? So that one will be
Yeah,
the very huge. Instead of it's a desktop app or the mobile app, to make myself discipline. You got
yes,
my right where I'm coming
I
from.
got it. So there are lots of apps, to be honest, Umapati, and I can send some links as well. These are tried and tested by us and a few patients. Not that I'm a part of those apps; I don't endorse them as such, but they are there, and these are apps that actually flash up on your screen on your laptop or PC that will tell you time to get up. But I understand, like you just mentioned, we've been sitting now for the last 40 minutes. So what I usually suggest in such situations is if you've got earpods on and if you're in a meeting like this, which is on Zoom, most of your, cameras are off. I think you can still listen to the person whilst you're on the meeting and talk and walk. If because now all of us are on earpods usually or headphones. If that's possible, that's one of the ways, right? Second, if you're on your phone and you've logged on again, even better. It's so much more mobile. Third, if there is a possibility of just sitting, stay put on the chair and just sitting on your chair, and I'm just going to show you turning around and just slouching and stretching and then stretching backwards, stretching the neck sideways, rolling the shoulders. Even that much is going to pump the blood in those muscles that have been stagnant 40 minutes, right? You can pump your
Perfect.
ankles and feet up and down circles. The idea is movement in any shape or form. If there can be movement, brilliant. I'm not saying you get up and do a long walk. All I'm saying is we need to change posture. So
Yes.
a lot of people sit on their sofas with their laptops, right? If you're working from home. Fine,
Yes.
sit on the sofa, cross leg, 30 minutes. But after 30 minutes, change position, go to the dining table. After an hour, go to your bed, or sit on your study table. So keep changing postures is what we're saying.
Perfect. Perfect. This is shortcuts, right? Thanks for that. Right. Right.
No worries. Welcome.
Appreciate. Back to you.
Welcome.
So there
Who's
is one
there?
more question in chat box regarding
Yeah.
any exercises, like how to reduce stress to avoid hair loss.
that's that's not my forte. Hair loss is not something I look at. I mean,
Yeah.
reducing stress, honestly, it's something that is so personal. I say to people, we are not going to get rid of stress. We can't get rid of stress. That's life. We can manage it. And stress management is something that I've learned through my spiritual practice. Some people learn it through counseling. Some people learn it with just talking to friends and family. Each one of us have to find our one little tool to manage stress. We can't get rid of stress. It's impossible to get rid of stress. I mean, if you want to, yes, we can all, I guess all go to Rishikesh and spend a month there. I know somebody who does that as well once a year. but it's something you have to learn to manage and not get rid of. Hair loss, hair loss really, even for women, it's hormonal. So I don't know. There's so many reasons, but that's not my expertise. I'm so sorry. What else was there? Exercises for
So
knee
another,
pain due to long sitting.
and there is also any stretching exercises that we need to do during working
Yes.
hours.
So those
So I
exercises
think
that were there on my slides, I can, I mean, I can share them as a document if you like. Yeah, and those stretches are brilliant. Honestly, very simple. They're very simple, but they work like wonders, even for people like us who are physios. We don't have feet 10 hours a day, and if we do those stretches, they work beautifully. Exercises for knee pain, which is due to long sitting. Again, we don't know if your knee pain is due to long sitting. We need to figure that out via assessment. So, really speaking, if you have knee pain and it's only coming on during sitting hours, then yes, again, getting up frequently is an idea. Also, your chair might be really low. So look at the chair height. Remember, I mentioned to you, if your chair height is really low, the angle between your spine and your thigh will be less than 90. So we don't want that. So just check your chair height because that's something that you might need to look at. What else? Repeating this point, late. I want to check exercise tips for round shoulder posture. So saw a few postures, but looking specific. So rounded shoulders again are a byproduct of muscles behind your body not working well. What's keeping those shoulders back? These are muscles between your shoulder blades. So yes, there are a lot of exercises for that. But if your rounded shoulders are genetic, and if they are something that you've always had, like say from childhood, then we need to get that checked with a specialist or a physio. So definitely, please have a look at seeing a physio in your city, wherever you are. Root block procedure. So root blocks are brilliant. For us as physios, root blocks are a window of opportunity to strengthen you. So please try and get your good quality strengthening exercise program from your treating physio because you've got the root block for a reason. The root block is just a temporary solution, but it works for some people up to 6 months. So in those 6 months, if you strengthen really well, then when the root block wears out, you'll have no pain. So please try and definitely get your physio program in place. Great, thank you to you guys too. Awesome.
so. Before we move to the feedback poll and other stuffs regarding any of the questions that you have further, so I'd like to announce an exciting offer that we believe that will add even more value to what we have discussed today. So we are thrilled to reveal that we have partnered with Elicare, a leading name in the realm of tele-rehabilitation services, to bring you an innovation solution tailored for your wellness and ergonomic need. So, this collaboration is all about extending the care and expertise that we have talked today right into your home and workplace, making a professional guidance more accessible than ever. So, and here's the best part, as a token of appreciation for your participation today, we are offering an exclusive access to this services directly to our portal. So, you have to simply log into this Ethica portal and hit this total health and current offers tab. After that, after this webinar, you can access to this particular portal and you can access all the wonderful offers that avail from the Elicare, and you will find everything that you need to get started. So, but I don't want to steal all the thunder. So, to give you a deeper dive into what the collaboration entails and how you can benefit from our services, I would like to hand over the stage to Amit from Elicare. Amit, the floor is yours to share us the further exciting new venture details and all.
Thanks, Ekta, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I hope you had an amazing learning session from Dr. Kruti about the ergonomics and pain management in general. And we have been working on this product Ally Care for quite long to help people with this pain management needs, and really coming from a early angle to help people what they need to do to get better in their lives. Because I also injured myself during running and had to go for physio for a while to get back up, and that's why I built this product. So basically, with Ally Care, the integration what we provide with Ethika, you can do initial consultation, like questions that you have on what exercises you need for pain management. It doesn't need to be also if you are having pain, it can also come at an early level just for guidance, and we can provide assessments for posture, back pain, other areas, and then through our app you can do exercises with AI. That AI will guide. Think of it like CultFit but for physiotherapy, and then the physiotherapist assigned to you will monitor your conditions, and you can schedule follow-up consultations with them. So, just in a glance, quickly, that's how it looks like. In the app, you can see your personalized exercises prescribed by the physiotherapist after the consultation call. And then you can do exercises with the AI at home. It will guide you if you're doing it correctly, what's your posture, is it correct or not. And you can do it at our office, like a quick, neck stretches, shoulder exercises, helps with that. And in the end, you can see were you doing it correctly, how many reps did you do, and all this data will be sent to your physio so they can check how well are you doing and does your plan needs any adjustment. So that's the continuum of care we are building. And the conditions which we cater can come from at a, starting from prevention to acute, chronic, and even surgery patients as well. We have patients with from post knee replacement surgery who use our solution to get better. So I think the solution, you can access it via the portal and or scan through the QR code. Our app, there's a coupon code which is provided. I think we provide a very heavily discounted specialized package here. And if you have any information, if you need any help, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn or from Ikta to ask any questions. Yeah. And I'll share the slides later. So if you need any information to look it up. Thanks.
So we hope that you have found this session on WorkWell with Dr. Kruti to be a very insightful and inspiring, and you have gained a lot of practical tips to keep your workplace and workspace into the environment that supports your well-being and maximize your productivity. So if you have any questions further, you can put it in a chat box, or else we can take a charge for your work life and make a small adjustment that yield a big result. So in case you have any further more questions, or you want to avail regarding the offer, also you want to know more about these details, you can simply log in and you can connect with us, and you can know all the details. If you want to discuss, you can directly get in touch with the dedicated Spock, and you can chat with them, or you can discuss in detail regarding the offer as well. So I see there are no more further questions in the chat box or under the Q&A sections. So thank you for joining for this wonderful session. And we wishing you success in creating an ergonomically optimized workplace and fulfilling more work life. Thank you for Dr. Kruti for sharing us and insights and a wonderful session for today, and giving us the knowledge regarding the posture and the practical tips that will really help us to get us ergonomically fit.
Thanks everyone for your patience.
Thank you once again for all the participation, and we look forward to serving you through this exciting offer and with the upcoming sessions as well. So if you have any suggestions or any feedback, you can put it in a feedback poll so that we can curate them and we can look after to taking up such sessions in future as well.